Hey guys, oh my goodness, the darn thing, it's gonna tell me I need to rotate it, and it just told me before that I needed to rotate it, and so this is gonna be off. Okay, there we go. All right, so today I wanted to talk about some of the animal and critter things that happen in some of the states that we've lived in the last couple years, and why it matters in the way that we're searching for our homestead. So back home in Idaho, critters that would have been an issue. We had mountain lions, coyotes, fox, lots of prey animals that fly. So we had great horned owls, we had bald eagles. Hey Deborah. Let's see, what else did we have? We had bobcats, and off the top of my head, I think that's it. Hey Stony Creek. Okay, so Stony Creek Heritage Farm. I need to set this up with you because we're getting kind of towards the end of our homestead search, and we wanted to make sure that we still came out and saw your homestead. If for no other reason than we really did want to do a how to farm in Oklahoma series. I really feel like it's important. I feel like I don't really want to keep looking at property without really some heads up of somebody who already does it here, and the things we need to worry about and the things we don't need to worry about, and how to cope with that. So if you get a chance, Facebook me again, and let's see if we can set something up, because I really do want that in-depth discussion with you. The Everyday Kira. Oh, you're in Bartlesville. Fun. Yeah, anybody who wants to show me what it is they are doing in their area, we would like to come and see what you're doing. We already have some friends who we have gone and visited, but they have a much bigger acreage than we do, and they are raising sheep. That would be Straw Family Farm. They're raising sheep and cattle, and not doing a huge amount of like orchard work. So we really kind of wanted to talk to people who are doing a lot. Anyway, let me get back to this. Okay, so Idaho. In our area, we have plains, we have rivers, we have very tall mountains, and we have desert. I mean, we have a lot right around us. But in our actual homestead, we don't have ticks, we don't have snakes, and we do have deer that come through, but we just don't have a problem with ticks and that kind of thing. And it is too cold and wet where we are, as far as we're irrigated, and so we don't get a lot of rattlesnakes. That would be our one poisonous snake in our area. And they don't come down where we are. They would be out on the desert and not where we are. Same thing for ticks. Although I did work out on state land, and I never had ticks out in our desert area. We didn't have scorpions. We just didn't have a lot of those kind of problems. We did have grizzly bears and black bears, so maybe that could be a bigger problem. But here, we just finished looking at a series of houses. How many houses do we just go look at, babe? Three. One of them, we've had one house that we went back to a second time, and we really, really, really like it. The big thing for me is I'm scared of Oklahoma. I'm so scared of Oklahoma in the summer. Love it here in the winter. Scared of it in the summer. We actually talked to our realtor about it tonight. We said, okay, we're in the middle of Tulsa, and yet we were picking up ticks. What is it with this? And so she said, yes, there's going to be ticks if you're in Oklahoma. It doesn't matter if you mow your lawn. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of the city. Unless you're walking from your house to your car and getting in directly, and you don't have any trees above you, you're going to be able to pick up ticks anywhere.
Now, Oklahomans, this is not the time to jump in and talk about scorpions or heat or other snakes or scary things.
And that's what happened.
Or anything else.
She immediately started telling us about scorpions. I did not realize we also had scorpions here. Now, the spiders here are like, we had one out with the horses that was enormous, this enormous spider. Just a garden spider. It wasn't hurtful or anything, but there's these big ones that run around. I think they're called huntsman spiders or hunter spiders, and they're huge. They're just a bug eater, so they weren't aggressive or anything, but they were a little disconcerting when we first saw them. And to me, because I already have an autoimmune issue, the thought of adding a couple more on from getting tick bit is just something that just doesn't sound like fun to me. And so I'm terrified of them. I can handle the heat. I can handle the spiders. I really, really, really struggle with the ticks. I can handle fox. I can handle raccoon. I can handle cougars as long as, you know, they're not aggressive in the area. They don't have rabies or anything. And because we have cougars back home. Let's see. What does anybody have to say? Yeah, Sandra says they do have ticks. She was tested for Lyme's. It could that be an issue? Let's see. Could that be an issue for Julie and your immune system? Ticks would be a huge issue for me. I really, really don't need it. Stony Creek said he is a biologist and he could tell us about what we have in the area. Hey, Mr. Rain, how are you?
Patrick.
We are so glad to see you. Go for Green Living is here. Tons of ticks and spiders here, but I free-range chickens. I haven't seen one in years. So that makes me feel so much better. John actually wondered that about our property. If the reason that we don't have any ticks, we've never seen a tick on our property, is because our chickens always free-range and we had guinea fowl. And so on this little property we're looking at, it is 1 1/3 acres, right?
Yep.
1 1/3 acres. It's fully fenced and paddock systemed. It's not one big pasture. They're good fences. There's how many paddocks are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 paddocks, and
Of various sizes.
of various sizes and different fences, but they're all good fences. And it's flat. It has pecan trees on it. It has fruit trees on it, and it already has a shed for goats, a shed for chickens, and a shed for horses. And so it's like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. But I haven't been through a summer here in Oklahoma. I have been through a winter, 2 falls and a winter. Two winters. 2 winters? This is my second winter here. I've been here 2 falls. Not really falls, because we got here the end of November last year. And some springs. We've been here for everything, and I was here in May of this year, but I haven't been here through the full summer. And last spring when I got here, I immediately got a tick on me, and it was embedded by the time I found it.
Like the day she got it.
And it was terrible. The only thing I had done is I had gone out to check on the garden. I hadn't gone out through brush or anything. I had just been in the garden, and so it felt really demoralizing that I would pick one up that quickly. Let's see. Kathleen said, I have a horrible reaction to almost any insect bite or sting, and so do we. We have sensitive skin. And so generally what we do back home, because we do have other kinds of bugs back home, is we go out and I do all of my chores before it starts to warm up. The horseflies wouldn't come out, the mosquitoes weren't out, none of the bugs were out when I finished my chores. And then we would go in the house and we would do school, or I would do crafting the rest of the day until it cooled off at night, and then I'd go out and do the rest of my chores. Here, it's warm enough all the time that nothing goes dormant in the cold of night. The mosquitoes, we still had mosquitoes here in November. And so, it only takes a couple days for everything to just kind of recirculate. So it wasn't a big deal as long as I was like wearing full sleeves and jeans all the time. We did bring summer clothes here when we came, and we ended up never wearing it because every time we went to the park, we got eaten alive by mosquitoes. And in the end, my farmer clothes were my best clothes, and I just went back to wearing Idaho clothes. Hey, Goldshaw Farm, how are you? Mr. Rain said, I live in the Northwest because we don't have those things. Do you guys not get mosquitoes?
We got lots of mosquitoes.
Hey, Farmall Fanatic.
We gotta have lots of mosquitoes.
Stone Creek said, guineas and chickens are great tick removers. So Stony Creek, does that mean that you don't have an issue with the rest of your family getting bit by, getting embedded ticks in you, or having them in unusual places? That's the thing I get concerned about is, in Idaho, you have to watch out is if you go out on like deep brush or anything, if you have sand brush and things that you brush up against. But here, the ticks fall out of the trees and they're in the grass. They're everywhere. And that's my concern is we love to be outside, and it concerns me that we couldn't go for a walk under the trees without ending up with ticks in our hair and everything. Okay, Kirk said peppermint won't keep the deer away. And I do have some peppermint started right now. Mary Carpenter said, did you find a new homestead to move to yet? If not, I sent a link to a property on your community page. Thank you so much. I'll look for it. The Little White House said ticks are almost always in the grass, which really gets me because maybe it's because grass isn't as common in Idaho. You have to really, really work hard to have good grass. And if you don't water heavily, the grass just doesn't grow. It's just dirt, emptiness. Okay, Goldshaw said, I found that the best thing to do is just to be obsessive on twice-a-day tick checks. They can't do much harm if you catch them in a 12-hour window. Okay, and we got to where, and after we took that up, somebody, when we were telling people about it, they were like, you need to wear closed-toed shoes, you need to wear long pants, and that kind of thing. When we started to do that, where I was wearing my farm boots again, and long pants, never tennis shoes, we were out with the horses every day, and we never picked up another tick after that. And we did obsessively look at our cuffs. We looked at everything. We were careful not to walk through long grass. After that, we did not find any more ticks on us. We were very careful, so that's good. Let's see. Let's see. Don Cooper said, hey, yep, we have scorpions here in Blanchard, Oklahoma. Yeah. And one of the other things I really like about this property, it's been very well maintained. A lot of the other properties we've looked at have had a lot of brush, a lot of understory under trees. And in this property, it's level, it's cleared, it's all grass. They have beautiful landscaping, so they do have trees and bushes, but it's beautifully landscaped. It's been kept very tidy. And so all I would need to do is have a weed whacker and just go in between the brushes, you know, once a week, and let the animals keep everything else grazed down, and it would be very low maintenance, especially where it rains enough here that you don't have to water. Unless, I think you do have to water your garden in the heat of summer. Let's see, Go for Green Living said plantain tea will cure Lyme and Rocky Mountain fever. Really? I have not heard that.
That's good.
Thank you,
We get
Kathleen.
plantains again.
Mr. Rain said they do get skeeters. Okay, Stony Creek said correct. Deep brush, unused areas can be bad. Mowed areas and where chickens range are minimal. So what does minimal mean? Because when we first got here, every time I went outside, I came back in and there was a tick problem. And we were not in long brush. We were on short grass that had all been grazed. None of it was where chickens were. But we were in the city. Paige brushed up against a bush.
It was up against the couch.
I know, but the couch was brushed up against the bush.
And by brushed up, you mean rolled around?
Yeah, rolled around, and she does roll around in a lot of
That's how
bushes.
she brushes up against things.
Kathleen said they have chiggers in Oklahoma also, don't they? Yes, that's my understanding, is there's chiggers too, that anytime you go into like brambles or anything like that, you can walk through chiggers. Okay, Mr. Rain said a light breeze or a campfire keep the mosquitoes at bay. Out where you guys are, out here, we even get them in the house, and they kind of hide in the corners, and they come out at night and bite us even in the house.
Well, and in Idaho, you could have a bonfire going and you could, the mosquitoes would come up to you.
Yeah, in Idaho, we have some very aggressive, large, hungry mosquitoes.
Yeah, the smoke wouldn't do anything.
And we have West Nile virus in Idaho, so the horses, you have to be careful about the horses and the mosquitoes in the summer there. Bill Wire said, we have ticks here in Switzerland also. Linda Hill said, hi, I have lots of autoimmune diseases as well. Oh, really? With red bugs? How interesting. Sandra Clark said, my lower legs are covered in tick bites in the summer. And is that because you wear shorts, or are they getting up underneath your pants? And you're up in Ontario, aren't you? Rena said, guineas and chickens are great for tick mitigation. Oklahoma is much different than Idaho. I grew up in MO, is that Missouri? And am now back here for 23 years in Idaho. Good luck. Thank you.
Did you want some of that? I just got finished.
Sure, if you want to make it. We don't have any stevia. All right. We're trying to get through all of them. Let's see, Go for Green Living said, LOL, too hot here in Alabama, gotta wear shorts and sandals. Well, that's my understanding of how it is here too. But we really, at least, we really do have very sensitive skin. It is very, very difficult for us to be covered in bites all the time. And I don't know what I'm going to do about the heat. Back home, a really hot day is going to be like 85 degrees in the summer.
95.
If we had what,
We
3
got-
days like that last summer
no,
though?
You get 2 weeks to 3 weeks in the middle of July that will be in the mid 90s, and then after that it drops to the mid 80s.
And before that, you're usually in the 70s. I mean, you've got very few weeks where you're
And
in.
snow.
Yeah, we do get snow. We've had it on 4th of July before. So, let's see. Nope. Okay, Sandra Clark said we get black flies in May, mosquitoes in June, deer flies in July.
Yeah, and
Let's
deer
see.
flies are bad in Idaho too.
Okay, Mr. Rain said up north the cooler weather keeps the poisonous pests away. We do have skeeters and recluse spiders, but they usually run from you. Bargainholic said high desert and we have critters, bugs, heat, cold, and wind. For the latest storm we are below the snow line but will still freeze. Oh, a Tuttle. Where is Tuttle? Tuttle, Oklahoma.
West.
Hey, Off-Grid Lifestyle, how are you? Sorry guys, I'm trying to get to all the comments. I'm having a hard time. It's not. What is it saying? Okay, hold on a second. I have to go back. Oh, and horseflies. Horseflies are nasty. Okay, so
What temperature?
Kathleen said, Julie, how did the PRID work for Paige's foot, or maybe it was Kaya? It actually worked really well. What we ended up doing was that we put the PRID on it, and it started to pull. What are they called?
Abscess.
An abscess. She had an abscess, and it actually pulled the abscess up to the surface where we could see it, and at the same time we started to soak her foot in Epsom salts, and we were soaking it for an hour every day for a little while because it was, as it was coming to a head, it was starting to get really sensitive as it pulled it out, and we wanted to keep the area soft. So the PRID did work, but we were also doing the Epsom salts at the same time, and then we were able to get the abscess out, and then we continued to soak for I think 3 days afterwards, and we kept the PRID on it, and it kept pulling out these little black slivers from whatever she stepped on. And she was, how long were you, a week? 2 weeks? You were pulling little black slivers and keeping the PRID on it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was quite a while.
It was quite a while,
Can I
and
show
so
them how much it's healed up?
no, not right now. It was not a fun thing for her. Hello, Tubular Guy 9. How are you? Linda Fisher said, sounds like you don't really want to live in Oklahoma. Why not look elsewhere? The whole time we were traveling the country looking at other people's homesteads and tiny houses, we were looking. And the area that we kept coming back to was here. It was Tulsa. But we were always here in the winter and the fall and the spring, never in the summer. So John has been here for a summer before. I haven't. And I also liked New Mexico. I really liked New Mexico. I guess the issue right now is just that because my health is sensitive, I do get nervous about new environments. So that's really what it means. It doesn't mean that Idaho is easier. It's just that it's known. It's known what I would have to deal with, and I can make adjustments according to what I need to do well there. Here, I feel like it's a lot of unknown. I don't know if the heat's going to be too much. I don't know if the ticks would make us sick. And that makes me nervous just because my health is sensitive. And that's really all there is to it.
And I'm sensitive to heat.
Okay. Hi there, Darlene.
And I'm sensitive.
Tarvin said, glad to see you still going strong. Love watching your updates. Thank you so much. Off-Grid Lifestyle said, I'll take 80 degrees over Texas weather. Well, and I think it has so much to do with how were you raised? Where were you raised? Somebody who was born in Idaho and loved it is going to love everything about that. Somebody who grew up in Texas and is Texas strong and Texas pride and all that kind of thing, they're going to love everything about Texas. And at the same time, there's a lot of people in Texas during the hottest months that go to Idaho or go somewhere else north to escape the heat. Just like people who live in Arizona, they plan their vacation around July and August because that's going to be the hottest months, and so they're going to. My cousins always come to Idaho in those months and stay for weeks to get away from the heat in Arizona. So it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to, you can't love a place and then also during the hardest times of the year want to leave it. For instance, I'm here. Idaho, I love Idaho in the spring, summer, and fall, but it's hard in the winter, and so it's a lot easier to decide to leave Idaho in the winter and come here. And it's why I kind of feel like we had the best of both worlds, to where I would be here in the late fall and the winter here, and then come spring I go back to Idaho where the weather is milder than it's going to be here. So to me that feels like a wonderful thing. But my wonderful husband, right?
Is not quite so portable.
My husband is not portable anymore. He used to be portable when we were on the road, but now he's not portable, and so he can't go back and forth with us. And it would mean that we wouldn't be in the same state for several months, and that is difficult. It's difficult for all of us. Let's see. Hope Cafe Anu said air conditioner is a big deal in Oklahoma.
Yes, it is.
That's what I see. Nobody looks at the heater. They always look, does it have an air conditioner? But we have found in all the old houses. Have we been to a house yet that did not have a wood burning stove?
No, we put that out of
Is that one of the conditions we had? All the houses we've looked at have had wood burning stoves. We did put it in as something we wanted. We wanted a wood burning stove, we wanted a well, and we wanted a storm shelter. Those were the three things that we wanted. Because if you have a well, then even if power goes out, you can put a hand pump on your well so that you always have water. You want a wood burning stove because you can find fuel, and you want a storm shelter because this is like Tornado Alley. To my understanding, there's a lot of tornadoes here. So that is all an issue. Hey,
Kathleen.
Julie from Montana.
Kathleen Carter-Moses says Mr. Dirt is currently planted.
He is currently planted, and all my plantings are back in Idaho, and I can hear them speaking to me. And there's no ticks. So, okay, let's see if it will let me go down. No hobo spiders here that I know of. Oh, well, that is one thing. We do have lots of hobo spiders in Idaho.
Black widows.
Black widows in Idaho?
No, there are black widows down here.
Oh, yeah. We've seen a couple, but they were very friendly. They did not chase us.
Why
Okay.
don't they chase
So,
us?
see
They're
that- you
usually
see that blue
shy.
button at the
Why
bottom,
don't they
right?
chase us?
I know, but I'm trying to get to all of them. It's why I'm talking too fast. TT Town said, I live in Tulsa, Osage Hills? Osage Hills. We have a massive amount of scorpions, snakes, and ticks. Horrible. We're praying for a long, hard
So,
winter.
remember
That's what
that-
everybody says. The
that-
longer the winter.
There's that part that I was saying, hey natives, don't talk about all the horrible,
Yeah.
scary things here.
He wants
It's
me
not
to be
helping.
tough and be like, I can handle anything. But I don't care about getting bit by ticks. I care about getting Lyme's disease. My friend Bobby, her mom, she got bit by a tick and she didn't get Lyme's disease. She got a disease that means that she can't eat ruminant meat. She can't eat beef, and she can't eat goat. Is that right? I think that's right. She can't eat certain kind of meat now. It makes her very, very sick, and the doctors figured out that it's from a tick bite. So I probably am even now talking myself into a frenzy. So I should probably stop talking about it because it makes
Yeah.
me feel lightheaded.
How about everybody just stop talking about it?
Sandra Clark said, our frog pond causes lots of mosquitoes. I'm going to move a bunch of minnows from our creek to the frog pond to see if they'll eat the mosquito larvae. Our friend here, Aardvark, he has frogs in his pond, and he accidentally poisoned them when he was spraying his lawn. So the frogs in his pond had kept all of the mosquitoes down until he sprayed his grass, and then it killed the frogs, and then he had a problem. No.
What? I don't do anything.
Okay, Casey said, what types of snakes do you have over there? So my understanding is that there's copperheads and rattlesnakes here, and copperheads, to my understanding, are worse because they don't have rattles. It's easy to step on them, it's easy to startle them. It's why when we were pushing that bale up the hill to the horses, we looked underneath first, because in the winter, when they hibernate, they'll go to warm places and just stay, and I was worried that there might be some underneath the hay bale. Because I have some horse friend people, that have found, have been finding copperhead snakes in their hay lately. Kathleen said, good to hear. I had never heard of Prid before, so I went to Walgreens and got some to have in the first aid drawer. Yeah, we really liked it. We have some other stuff that we could have used, but it had comfrey in it, which seals the wound instead of drying. And so we got the Prid instead, and it really seemed to work well. But Epsom salts is something we keep in bulk, because if you don't have like a tetanus shot, and this is not medical advice, if you do not have the capacity to get a tetanus shot, one of the things you could do if you were my family is you can soak every day in Epsom salts in hot water, and it can be something that might be, you might want to try.
How does that make
You may not talk. Okay. Oak mites in summer worse than chiggers. Oh, nice. Because the property we're looking at has lots of oak trees, lots of pecan trees, but also oak trees. So I'm kind of thinking this would be my course of action, is that I see there's no ticks around once you have like the first cold weather. So I would go and do all my weed whacking and all my cutting of firewood and everything that needed to be done where I was brushing up against things. I would do all that once the first hard frost came, if I were to stay in this area, and this is where we were going to be. And which means that I have, if we do end up getting this house that we liked, it means I have probably 6 weeks, maybe 2 months to go and get everything cleared out that I want cleared out, and move everything away from the fences that I want to move, and get everything situated, and have that be finished so that when the ticks start to come back out again, I can minimize our exposure. But that being said, in May this year, that was when I got a tick, was when I was just messing around in the garden. I wasn't even moving anything. I was just in the garden. Okay. Kathleen said that blouse, there was like a little elastic cord with hooks on both ends to tuck under the ends of the pants. Interesting. Hey Susie, how are you? Well, and Kathleen said you always have Catherine in New Mexico. Yes, we do. And she's the other person that we would like to go live next to. If we were to be in New Mexico, we would love to be in that community. It's a beautiful community. And they are having some issues with the border at this point, though. It's very easy to get into New Mexico from that space. And so they are having some actual problems with immigration stuff going on down there, so that's kind of interesting. That might be worse than ticks. All right, Hope Cafe News said snakes, copperheads are aggressive. Best snake repellent is mothballs. How interesting. Uh-oh, they're telling me about more bugs. Should I not read it? Okay. Lady Cat, thank you for telling me about all the scary spiders. Mr. Rain said Heidi had a bee sting a couple years ago and applied masticated plantain on it, and the sting went away immediately. So are you saying that you think that might work for tick bites? Mandeline Bradshaw said, hi Julie, we had an amazing snowfall and loved it. So you guys are having snow right now. We had a little bit of a drift of snow this morning on the cars, but that was it.
Let that be it.
Lee Ebler said, hoping and praying you get that amazing property. You know, we really did like it. We've looked at so many now. I mean, probably not that many. It feels like a lot to me. It's a lot to process, a long distance to everything. But...
And especially since everything is a long distance in 360 degrees.
Yeah.
That was 2 long distances
Yeah.
today, and it was an hour's worth of driving between the 2 of them.
Yeah, it was a lot, and we've seen some that are really nice. Some of them the houses inside have been just completely redone, and they're beautiful. But they are a lot further than John really wants to be driving. Let's see, did All Sorts make it in? Kathleen said, so I must have missed it. Hello, All Sorts, if you did. Little White House said, New Mexico's a nice place. Oklahoma, I have no idea about. I drove through at night one time. That's how we did Arkansas. We drove through, and there was a family that we wanted to come see. I think it might have been All Sorts. Was it All Sorts that we wanted to go see that was in Arkansas? And we drove through, and we missed the timing, so we weren't able to go and see them. And yeah, we had a couple of states where that's all we saw. We just saw the road. Mr. Dirt is oh my gosh, how far away am I on all these comments?
You're so far behind here.
Was there anything really important that I missed?
Well, we're handling it in in chat, so catch up.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Hey, Weetree. Hey, Weetree came in.
Yes.
Okay, what else am I missing?
Weetree is yelling at everybody right now.
Oh, Mary Carpenter said, I think I will just stay here in Michigan. Some days we can have all 4 seasons in the same day. We get 2 seasons in the same day. We can get like really lovely spring, summer weather, and then we'll have winter the next day. And that one is interesting, to be 70 degrees and then the next day 30 degrees and then the next day 60 degrees and then it'll be 60 degrees for 3 days and then you'll have 20 degrees. And it's interesting. You do get a lot of variety. Thank you, Eatree, for handling things. I'm not keeping track of anything at all. Donna Leddington said Lone Star tick bite causes the meat issue. Ah, okay. My neighbor was bitten by one and he has a special dietary needs now. See, that's the problem. I already have very special dietary needs, and a large part of it is meat. I can't eat grains. I can't eat wheat. And even right now we're on keto, kind of. We got home really hungry, and I had my first French fry, so I kind of cheated on my keto. It's exhausting.
It was a good French fry.
It was a good French fry. It's exhausting looking for houses. Oh my gosh. I have no idea what's going on. So hey, Punky, how are you? To be your guy said there's a big magnolia by my driveway that is full of blooms. Is magnolia one that smells good? I love gardenium. There were gardenias in Southern California when I was there, and they smelled so good. I've always loved gardenias since then. Oh, good. Okay, Stony Creek said that's incorrect. Copperheads have minor fangs and are less venomous of snakes. Okay. See, guys, I really do think I need to go out and do a series with Stony Creek, because I really do just want him and his family to walk me through and say, this is what you really do need to worry about, and this is what you don't need to worry about, and you're going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Right?
Right.
It's all going to be okay.
Why wouldn't it be okay?
Just in through the nose and out through the mouth. It's all okay.
So, no. So, we've seen some really, really cute houses. They all seem to have sunrooms or some kind of like porch area. This one that we're looking at, we could turn it into a summer kitchen for things like canning. And it's just beautiful. It's just
Imagine
beautiful.
that Elmira cook stove burning again.
Yeah, right? If you guys remember from back in the day when we had the Elmira cook stove, it's such a beautiful stove.
It would heat that room up to 90.
It would just, well, and you don't really need that much heat here. A wood burning stove is nice, but by the next day you don't need it. So, I don't know. It just feels like it's hard to live your life between 2 states that are so far apart for me, I think. And I think the more I travel back and forth, the more it kind of wears on me, leaving and coming back and leaving and coming back. I would like to just settle
Would it be better?
and not do it.
Would it be better if we sold the house in Idaho and bought one in Kansas, and then we'll be between one state?
That's a great idea. Okay. Yes, we have 6, how far behind am I? We have 6 pecan trees. She said we also have pear, and one of the first things that I would want to plant would be grapes. I don't know how well they'll do here because of the heat and humidity. I also want to put in blackberries. Let's see. When is the rattlesnake roundup? I've heard it's a big deal in Oklahoma. Really? I did not know that.
Know what?
Okay. Stony Creek Heritage Farm said they rarely bite people, very non-aggressive, will go other way quickly. Okay. Okay, and Kathleen said that the rattlesnake roundup is in Texas. Let's see. I'm missing a lot, aren't I?
Yeah, and I got a text back. We got an important behind the scenes going on.
Okay, Kathleen said, what about houses that are heated by an outdoor wood furnace? Now, who did I know that did that recently? Who was it? Somebody was doing it. There was a channel. Wasn't it one of the new, it was one of the new channels. Was it Swedish, was it the Swedish Homestead that was doing that had the outside furnace? I swear it was one of these newer channels that I'm not, I was watching all of them at the same time. I had Little White House on the Hill, and I had the Swedish Homestead and some others. and now I can't remember which one it was that had that. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. Mr. Rain said, not sure, Julie, for plantain on ticks, but sure works for bee stings. Interesting. Okay, so We Tree Bonsai said, an hour is not a long distance when you have a job. Yeah, and he had about a 20-minute commute to work, and it was all freeway back in Idaho, and that's about what it would be here. For any of the houses we're looking at seriously, they have to be close to the freeway. Let's see. Rena said, I hope you get the property you want. I've got my fingers crossed for you. Thank you very much. And there's actually 3 that are really nice. The reason we want this one property is, again, because it has the paddock system already set up, and there's no underbrush. We could move in and we would just, there we would go. There's another one that's out a little bit further, but it's right next to this huge drainage canal. Huge, and we would be in a floodplain, and they would raise our mortgage by $150 a month just in flood insurance. And that one, we thought the house was so stinking cute. We even liked the furniture and like wanted to offer to buy the furniture from them. But that one, I felt really bad about using that property because the fences were so nice and so residential. So it was a senior's home, and it was so well done. It was just a beautiful little house, and it still had the furniture. She'd had to leave quickly because her husband had died, and she just couldn't take being alone in the house anymore. So it's just a pristine little house. It's so cute. But I would feel so bad about bringing horses and goats into it because it's so cute, and so that's why I don't want to buy it. I don't want to destroy it. Somebody should use it as it is because it's just so nice.
Rich J says, do not live on a floodplain.
Yeah, and it's right, like I don't mean it's like on a floodplain and then a long ways away there's that irrigation canal. It's like the irrigation canal is on our property type of a thing. Like you stand at the fence line and you look down. You don't look across to look into the huge drainage canal. You just look down. If I had smaller children, it would terrify me. Even having the size kids I have, it scares me to be that close. And that's probably why the price is what it is because you'd add another $150 a month to your mortgage just in insurance. Okay, John said, hi, like your videos. I think you're one tough cookie, and I'm a scaredy cat. You'll see that this whole video is about that. I have certain things that I'm terribly afraid of just because nope. No, because I'm trying to do it. Remember, we had this talk before. Dad is also in the middle of something. Okay. Hey, Flying VS Farms, how are you? I have missed you. Off-Grid Lifestyle says, question, honeybees, have you tried having some? Thank you. So we haven't tried that. I wanted to try honeybees, and it's why I planted so many flowering bushes and trees and plants, is because I wanted to have pollen through the entire season. I wanted something blooming at every moment. Paige, I need you to stop. Every second of time, I needed to have something blooming. And we accomplished it really well, about from April until, when does, it's hard to get that long of a season in Idaho because of the cold. I think we had things there till August that were blooming. And so we were ready to get bees if we were going to about the same time that we left on the road trip, maybe a little bit after that. So we haven't put bees in, but now the property back in Idaho is ready for bees, if that makes sense. Sandra Clark said, there are good and bad about every place. Tulsa sounds like a lovely place. It really is, or we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have been here for as long and as many times as we have. We love the people here. I do enjoy the area. I think it's a beautiful place. We haven't been here through a tornado yet. Have you been through a tornado?
Only the one when I'm picking you up at the airport.
Yeah, I flew in over a tornado. They actually delayed my flight in Denver because there was a tornado going through Tulsa, and they couldn't fly into a tornado.
It was the day before she picked up the ticks.
It was the day before I picked up the ticks.
That's amazing.
It was terrible. And so that was terrifying. We flew over the tornado, and we could see the lightning, and we could see it moving as I flew in. And it was kind of scary.
You current? No, you're not current.
Huh?
Blue button. Flying VS Farm says the city where she lives just got added as a B City, USA city.
That's amazing.
Right?
She had her city was beautiful. When we drove into it, we thought that was like, oh my gosh, this is heaven. Mandeline Bradshaw is here. Hello, hello. Off-grid lifestyle said, I'm not yelling, just big letters. Sorry, you're just fine. I don't mind at all. Lady Cat said, northern Oklahoma is pretty, but we live in southwest Oklahoma by the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. It's beautiful here in the spring when the flowers are out.
Yes.
Oh, Sandra is starting an apiary this spring. That's right. You've had a lot of pictures and information on your Facebook. Okay, Kathleen said, what about the oil fracking in the area? Does that affect any of the wells? You know, we're not real familiar with that. We're in the city and we have city water. And we have actually found that we cannot shower. We can shower. We can take a 30-second cold shower once a day. We have to be very careful about coming in contact with the water because they use something called chloramine, and it has a longer half-life than chlorine does as far as how long it stays active in the pipes. And originally it was just me that reacted to it, but this year the girls have had a really bad bout with it because they were taking long hot showers and it was opening their pores, and so now they had a week of some pretty bad blisters from it, and it's starting to go away, but now they're really sensitive to it. They have to be careful about touching the water.
Can I show them?
I don't think they're going to be able to see it, honey, because I've got everything so dark. How many mods do you have here now? I have no idea.
We've got quite a few ranges. You are way behind in the conversation.
I'm always far behind. Oh my gosh, I'm really far behind.
As far as the fracking, I think a lot of the locals now are saying that they're starting to get earthquakes over here, which never happened before.
Yeah, they've said there's earthquakes. We have heard that.
And so that was a big deal. In fact, there's some good stories because everybody knew back in the day that you would, if there's a tornado coming, you jump in the bathtub. And so when the first earthquakes came and hit, nobody really knew what to do, so everybody jumped in the bathtub. So, because that's what you would do for protection.
In a tornado?
Yeah, so they figured they just transpose that over to earthquakes.
Kale Ranch with Susan said, hope you get your land, but don't sweat the bugs and snakes. You get used to it.
Thank you.
I hope so. The thing is, I would love to be able to go and get any of these homesteads were nice. I always feel a knee-jerk panic when I don't have land, when I don't have food storage. I need to, one of the videos I'm going to show you soon, I'm going to show you our old food storage, which was our living room downstairs was full of food storage. It was shelves and shelves of 5-gallon buckets and that kind of thing. The whole living room was food storage. And then we had another room that was our root cellar, and that was full of food storage. And then we had our freezer room, which was full of all of our meat from our animals that we'd raised, and we had 3 freezers full of meat. And that was pretty much how I rolled. And so even though it's been 2 years since we've been full-time on the homestead, my being there in the summer helps it a lot because then I'm milking the goats and we have eggs from the chickens and we can work on rabbits and that kind of thing. But it's really hard not to have a homestead, and it would just really, if we could just put roots down and just stay, it would be wonderful. I'm not fighting that. It's a big decision to go and get another homestead if you haven't, at least to me, it feels like a hard decision when I haven't been here in the summer yet, and it's supposed to be the most difficult season to be here. It's just emotionally difficult for me. Let's see. Flying VS Farm said, I'd rather deal with rattlesnakes and scorpions than ticks. I agree. As you know, I feel like with snakes and stuff, they think of me as a predator, whereas the ticks, they think of me as food. Real food. Any tips on red ants? Red ants, where did we have red ants? Have we had red ants? That's not fire ants, right?
No, red ants are a type of yellow jacket. Yeah. They're red and black striped ant-looking wasps that don't have wings.
Really?
Yeah, those strange bug book That's how I know what they are.
He says, Michael Arzan, he says 15 or more feet of dirt in my area. I did not know that it was not normal for everyone. Like, oh, we have 15 or more feet of rock in Idaho.
Oh, are you on as administrator right now, babe?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Weetree has asked to be removed as a moderator.
We're working.
Okay.
So,
Um,
in fact, Weetree, let's continue the conversation offline.
okay,
On
Sharon
another
B
show.
said, I enjoy your channel, but do not get to follow super close. Are you buying in Oklahoma or return to your other state? Can't remember. So we still have our property in Idaho. If we don't get a homestead here this spring, I don't know if I'm going to be able to resist the siren call of going back to Idaho and having my homestead. It's hard for me not to have that kind of lifestyle. So, Henrina said it'll all be okay. Thank you. Not Normal Tree said, come to Yakima. Where's Yakima? Isn't that Washington? Yeah, that's Washington. We loved Yakima. Oh my gosh, we loved Yakima. That was such a pretty place. My sister was there too. How are you, Not Normal Tree? Rich J said, we're in Oklahoma. So we're in Tulsa right now. Kathleen Schaefer said, I got bit by a copperhead on my foot when I was 14. Did not hurt, but it swelled skin tight to above my knee. No problem after. Yay. Well, you are a tough cookie. My goodness. Jim said there used to be a rattlesnake roundup in Mangum, Oklahoma, too. Let's see. Flying VS Farm said rattlesnake is good eats. Oh, pretty. Mary Carpenter said, my son just got him a cabin on 20 acres in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. Richard J said, Oklahoma is hot and cold. That is very true. That's very true. Idaho is in between. So Rich J said, Oklahoma is hot and cold, not between. So Idaho, from late
Cold.
spring until maybe late November, is kind of in between. It's not hot and it's not cold. It's just 72 is a pretty consistent temperature, and I love that kind of temperature. All right.
So, would you rather snakes and bugs or no water coming from Utah? That's Mama
What do you mean
Rose.
no water coming from Utah?
Well, coming from Idaho, I think is maybe what you mean. Or Mama Grows is in Utah. Either way.
Oh, I'm having a hard time. Okay, was there any comments that were like really important that I'm gonna...
Well, I had another unfortunate
Okay.
conversation, but
Tubular Guy 9 said, get property with pecan trees. They're money makers. Yeah, and they had 6 of them. There were pecans from last season all over underneath the trees on the ground.
Julie, what is your elevation in Idaho from Patrick?
54?
57 to 50.
5,700.
Yeah, it's right around there. I
And
mean,
we
it's
were
low.
in the valley. We were at the valley just below Tetons, just below the Tetons, between the Tetons and the Sawtooth Mountains. It's a beautiful place. But because of all the agriculture where you are, you can't always see the mountains. It actually looks a lot like Oklahoma where we are, because you can only see the foothills most days. If you have a clear day, when the ag is not, happening, you can see the Tetons and you can see the Sawtooths, and it's gorgeous. Let's see, Kathleen said, for those that cannot do honeybees, there are also mason bees. Mama JP said, I'm 100% fearless until mice and snakes come into play. I getcha. Yes, thank you. Michael Gross said, use all caps. It's easier to read fast. Yeah, if anybody actually has a question for me, it's very helpful if you can put it in all caps. Andrew said, move here to mid-southern Missouri so you can teach me how to make compost bins.
Well, we're only a couple hours from there.
Are we?
Yeah, Springfield's what?
Oh, that's
2
right,
hours?
Missouri. That's right. We've been through there, going up to Doug and Stacy and Baker's Creek. Let's see. Thank you, Kathleen. Please hit the thumbs up icon and subscribe if you've not already done so. Oh, I'm way behind.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so anybody
Blue
from this point, I'm going to
button.
hit the blue button, and if you had a question, please put it in all caps so that I know it's directed at me. I'm just going to hit the button because I have no idea how far behind I am. All right, truck and travel. Hey, how are you guys doing? Do you guys have fire ants? I don't think we have fire ants here. When we were in Mississippi and Florida, there were fire ants there and they were nasty. Idaho does not have fire ants, especially where we are. We don't have real sandy soil. We had silt and rocks, which is why we started doing the raised beds in the first place, is because we had to build soil on top of the rocks.
Hey, good news.
Yes.
You don't have to do that here. There's already clay and silt and red dirt.
It's actually black in the backyard
It's
of that
black?
house. It's
Oh,
black
that's right.
underneath the oak trees.
All the
But I don't know if
foliage.
I don't think you're supposed to. I don't know if oak poisons the soil the same way that like walnuts and stuff do. I don't know if oak trees have the juglone in it the same way that the nut trees do. Well, I guess nut trees, that would be pecans. So I don't know. Mama JP said, have you ever done any videos on moving your homestead critters several hundred miles? We are moving 500 miles away and I want to take my chickens, ducks, and meat rabbits. So those animals, those small animals will do just fine. Especially if you have good ventilation. Ventilation's a big deal, but you also don't want air blowing directly on them. So, you know, if you keep it dark, they're going to just think it's dark and they won't get up and eat. So make sure that you have some way to get them light so that your poultry will eat. Other than that, just, you know, feed and water them as you go. If you have something like a horse or goats, things like that, they can't move around as easily as poultry and rabbits can in a trailer situation. And so with goats and horses, you do need to get them out and let them move and let them roll and let them, you know, let them have some kind of activity at night if you can, just so they can stretch. Because generally our animals, they don't lay down over those long miles. They'll stand the whole time, and it can be hard on them if it's that long of a trip. A lot of times with horses and goats, I would say find friends along the way where you can stop and know that you're somewhere safe where dogs aren't going to get at your goats and you can let them out and move a little bit. It's much easier to do that with baby animals than adult animals. Rena Jones said, where were you in Idaho at 5,700 feet above sea level and is beautiful? I used to be a neighbor of yours. I know, right? Isn't that, I think we were trying to get connected on that, weren't we? Susie said they're close to Doug and Stacy now. Oh, how fun. Their place out there is so beautiful. Hey Sue said, guys are welcome. I don't understand what that said. Dirt Cheap Beautiful said fire ants, got bit by them once and not fun. Yeah, it's super not fun. I don't think I ever got bit by them. I was always, again, my OCD hyper panicky self and bugs. I never got bit by one. The girls got bit by them regularly because they'd sit down in the dirt and play and that kind of thing. And I think John walked through some once. But I would like stare at the ground all the time when we were in an area like that.
It was amazing too. The bite that they had initially was not that bad. It was like this. It felt very lightweight as far as an ant bite compared to the ones in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
But then for the next week, you would feel that stinging sensation, which you never had.
Kaya fell out of a tree once and landed in a pile.
She
and
did.
And we had visitors over, and so she had to change the car.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, that was not a fun thing.
Yeah. And those things hurt. When you get bit by them, they curl up and then sting as long as they can.
They're nasty.
Yeah, fire ants.
Okay, so Stony Creek said this part of the state is black soil. Awesome.
They really
Okay, Truck and Travel said we're good. Are you guys loving the weather down there compared to Idaho?
Yes.
I miss winter. I am not averse to winter chores because I like winter. I like getting the wood burning stove going, and I like feeding it every day, and I like, at this point, I like splitting the wood. It used to be that John would split all the wood back before he hurt his back. So I didn't used to, for a lot of years, I didn't split the wood. I would just stack it and haul it and burn it. But I love the changing of the seasons, and I love feeling so independent in our old house, I just felt incredibly independent. If we had a power outage, it didn't really make a difference. And that felt really amazing. It was really fun. I did my baking in my wood stove and everything. And so for me, I love the changing of the seasons, and I used to struggle in January and February quite a bit in Idaho, and then when I got my greenhouse, it didn't feel that way anymore because I could go work in my greenhouse and keep some of my smaller animals in the greenhouse. And so I had more light and I still had something to do. So do I like it here? Yes, it's different from Idaho in the winter. And I got a little bit excited the last few days when it was really cold and we were out doing chores and it felt more like home to me.
And then we go out in it all day.
And it was cold. It was
Or
really
it's
cold.
cold.
And I will admit that when it suddenly turns up to 60 degrees again, and we have 3 days of 60-degree weather, that's also very nice. But it doesn't necessarily feel like like home because it does warm up like that.
Yes, negative temperatures, Fahrenheit, definitely. That would feel more like home.
Okay. Okay, Susie said they use diatomaceous earth and baby powder for ants. Yeah, Flying VS Farms. When we were there, actually there for my birthday 2 years ago at Flying VS Farms. And it was raining when we pulled in, and Rebecca just said that my goats are currently holed up in the barn because it's raining. Yeah. So it seems to rain a lot there, even though it's California. Carlton Family Farm said, do you have any more places lined up to see? We don't. Not this time, but last weekend, I got really fed up of looking at places. I was just burned out on it. It can get emotional because you go and you see these properties and you're like, I don't want to get attached to this property because if we don't get it or somebody else gets it first, I don't want to feel bad about it. And so you go in and you get excited and then you're like, wait, I have to hold off. And that kind of emotional back and forth, I was kind of fed up with it. So we went back this week because John had seen a house that he had wanted to see a lot, and the realtor got on it very quickly about getting all the paperwork and everything. We started looking at it, and then we realized we had this other house we needed to go back and look at because we liked it so well and we needed to compare it. So that's more what this week, what today was just looking at what we'd already seen, seeing if there wasn't another place we wanted to go out and double check just in case. And now at this point it feels more like we're just trying to decide if we want to make an offer on that house or not. Are we really that serious about staying in the area? Am I going to be able to survive in the heat and with the ticks? The horror of the ticks.
So the $10 million question, did you want me to read it out loud?
What?
Seems like you want to stay in Idaho. Why are you looking to relocate?
Oh, I thought that was from the very beginning. Did somebody ask it again?
Just it again.
Oh. Well, because I'm not averse to trying new things. I don't think Idaho is like the end-all be-all of being a prepper. I don't think it's the end-all be-all of being a homesteader. And this area has a much longer growing season than Idaho does. I think one of the main reasons that I feel so attached to Idaho is that we owe very little on our house and everything is already set up. It's all set up. I already know how to make it work there. And so to me, as far as like from a debt or from a survivalist standpoint, we would have to spend the least amount of money to just get back up and running and be growing all of our own food. I know everything about what I need to know to succeed there. Here, I'm starting over from scratch, not just physically, but from an information standpoint. I know nothing about growing in a season that gets this hot, that lasts this long, that has these kind of conditions. It would be a 100% completely new learning experience for me. And it's expensive to buy a new house, so we would have less money starting over with, less money to get things up and going, which is why I'm not willing to get a fixer-upper. We need to hit the ground running, be able to just put in a garden, get the animals, and I don't want to mess around with trying to spend money on getting systems started instead of just saying, okay, let's start growing some food. I do think that the state of the nation is interesting right now, and it makes me very uncomfortable not to have my living room full of food storage and a barnyard full of animals. That makes me very uncomfortable. And so I feel at a little bit of a loss not to know what time of year to start planting things, not to know who is the good supplier to get milk goats from, not to know what breed of chicken I need to get to succeed here, and not to know when do you plant sweet potatoes. Can you plant sweet potatoes? I think you can, but I'm not sure. I know you can in Mississippi because we planted them with Danny and Wanda, but I don't know if you can here. I know Idaho, and that's where my basis of expertise is in Idaho. Let's
So
see,
you're
what's an
Idaho
ammonia
and-
cure?
They're talking about getting rid of ants still. So bites. Pencil sharpener.
So Northern Roots talked about guinea fowl. So we had guinea fowl in Idaho, and they would fly up on our roof, and then they'd fly over to our neighbors who had wild turkeys. And when I had guinea fowl as a kid, they would attack our turkeys, they would attack our chickens, and they'd like eat the feathers off their backs. They were just really weird, aggressive little animals. They're the only fowl I've ever had bite me when I went to butcher them. I don't know if it's because they were aggressive or because they were smarter than the others, but they bit, and they bit hard. And we didn't like to eat them, but if we could keep them on our property, I would get 50 of them if I thought that it would take care of ticks. So, yes, they are definitely on my list to try here, but we would have very close neighbors. This house we're looking at is in the middle of a neighborhood. It's a suburb, and it's super neat because there's a bunch of big property behind the houses, but the houses are really close together so that it just looks like a neighborhood. But then they have these big properties out behind them.
And yet technically we're out of town.
And technically we're out of town, even though it looks like a little suburb.
Yeah, unrestricted.
So I don't think the neighbors would be rejoicing at having 50 guinea fowl on top of their roof making their clucking noise at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning, and that concerns me because that's the thing about guinea fowl is they're like a wild turkey. They just roam, and I could clip their wings, and I'm pretty sure they could still make it over the fence in the backyard because it is chain link, but it's not terribly tall. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it in my brain. Oh, that's a good idea. T. Klein said extension office. I do need to check the extension office. Somebody else also asked about would I buy canning supplies at an auction. I would not. I do not buy mason jars or canning supplies at any kind of secondhand type of a thing. I always buy them new because you never know what some creep kept in the jar. He might have been keeping paint thinner or anything else in the mason jars. And with your pressure canner, you want to make sure that the seals and the gaskets are perfect. They need to be perfect. And so to my mind, unless you're getting it from your grandma and you have it someplace close to get your gauges checked and order new seals, you could get some pretty good pressure canners for under $200. So unless you can find a pressure canner for like 20 bucks and then you can get the seals and everything and go get it checked. Is that what you're talking about with the extension office? Go get it checked at the extension office. Because you do want it to get checked. You really don't want it blowing up in your kitchen.
So Susie Newton actually says most of your heritage birds forage very well to get ticks.
Yeah. And I think we had that case with our chickens maybe. Okay, let's see. Mama Gross said, how long a commute are you guys willing to have? The one that we've looked at that was the furthest was 45 minutes. And it felt like a long way. I think that gray house that we showed you guys was 45 minutes. The one we were looking at today was 20 minutes. And one of the reasons that's a little bit important is because we're a one-car family, and I like it that way. I don't like to be out running errands all day, and having a car kind of tempts you into thinking that you need to be out and about and doing things. And I don't like that. I feel like we're not nearly as productive in school and in other things when we have a car. And the other thing is, one of the reasons we want it so very short is that the more time that John is with us, the better. And so if he only has a very short commute, it means that he gets to spend more time with us. Okay. Let's see. I'm sorry. I am not aware of what people are asking. Yeah, Stony Creek Heritage Farm said, guineas are loud, annoying birds. They do have some merits, but not many. Right? Let's see. Wendy McFarland said you can always check out the local ag extension office. By the way, you got this. We have ticks and rattlers here in Idaho too. You're right. We do have them in Idaho. But I'm not a big, like, we did go hiking while we were there last year because I felt like it was important. We were getting a little bit stir crazy and needed to get out and move a little bit more. Oh, it was because our bike, so we all got bikes, made sure we had bikes this last summer in Idaho. And every time we went for a bike ride, Paige popped her tire.
Or you guys have
I don't think I ever did. Did I
I
have?
had a flat tire, and then when you first started riding your bike, yours was
Did it go
flat,
flat?
and then
We
I
had
had flat tire too.
6 flat tires all in like a week. Every time we fixed them, they popped again. And so after a while, I'm like, fine, we're not going to get our exercise biking. We'll go for hikes. But we never saw any rattlers, and we never saw any ticks. But we did see black widows in the outhouse. So, and it wasn't a big deal. I'm trying to tell myself it's not a big deal.
Mr. Rain's asking Punky Rooster if chickens work for ticks. No, I think they work for grain. The ticks just happen to be a bonus.
It'd be really gross if I spit
Yeah, that
coffee
would've
out my
been
nose.
funny.
Oh.
Aardvark says Oklahoma not only has snakes but rattlesnakes. Yes, but rattlesnakes are fine. We got that.
I'm not that worried about
Idaho,
rattlesnakes.
Right? We don't care about rattlesnakes.
Well, I do care about them.
Ticks.
I do care about them. It's why I've taught the girls while we're here we don't go walking through long grass.
and
Mary Harris says wait till tornado season. You'll totally forget about snakes, scorpions, and ticks.
well,
I know.
Well,
Back to the
These last-
Oklahomans. Don't talk about these things.
the other night when we moved the horses to the stable,
She has
that
a
they're-
present.
I
She
know,
needs
I
to
see.
hide.
No, I
Okay.
need to see if it fits.
Little Goat Feather said, sweetie, there's not a question you can't easily Google for information. Local farmers and feed stores are a wealth of information. That is true. Everybody has given me good information. Like this week we had horses with spikes in their teeth from the
foxtails,
hay.
nasty little grass things that when they still have the seeds in them, I think they're fine. But when the seeds are,
We've had a rough week. We've had a rough week.
yeah, our paint gelding, he was the first one that we found out about them with, and he was drooling the first 2
Oh,
days
that's a
that we
good
found
question.
it out, and his breath stank, and
Okay.
he just couldn't swallow.
We did make a video of it, remember?
Yes.
We did. Okay.
Did you
Right there.
publish
All right.
it?
Truck and travel trailer.
Right there. Mars says Tulsa remote. That's the grant I was telling you about. Pays
Okay.
you to move there. Anyway.
So Truck and Travel asked, are you able to find a good church home? We have here, we don't know about out at the new house. We really like our church here, and we really enjoy it. But if we get this other house, we will not be in it anymore, which would make us very, very sad.
Guess who's in?
Who?
Hi from Riggins, Idaho. My dad was asking about you guys recently.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Did we
Dollar-
actually?
We were talking about
I went to
the other
call
day.
you, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh, she will not be up
Not
yet.
at 4 a.m.
We were talking about you last
High
week.
five.
So one of our favorite places that we went was, if you guys saw the big wood,
Call it.
Trickwood. The Trickwood homes that we went and saw that were in Idaho, that were the big, amazing castle type homes made out of
Master
round
Carpenter
wood.
Home
Yeah, the
Series.
Master Carpenter home series. And daughter of Dorcas, did she change her name?
Yep.
Oh, okay, daughter of Dorcas, yes. She had us come up to see her on our way through, and just by happenstance, she's like, you know, you should come see my dad's work while you're here, and we did, and it blew us away.
So gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, and it felt like the Garden of Eden, or like Canaan. You know how they talk about in Canaan how they had the grapes that were so heavy that it took 2 men to carry one bunch of these grapes? That's pretty much what Maurice's garden was like. It was the most, it was just, it took your breath away. It just took your breath away. It was amazing. We're so glad you're here.
Yes, Lisa. We have not forgotten your name, but we didn't want to pronounce it on the show. But since you're gonna throw it in chat, hi Lisa. We miss you. Tell your dad hi.
It makes me
We're
my
doing
mouth
great.
water just thinking
I know.
about those grapes.
I know they were amazing, and the plums and everything. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
they were so good. It was just a beautiful area. Okay, Tina said hello from Massachusetts. I'm so happy I finally caught you live. I'm a single mom, and you're such an inspirational librarian. Oh, that is really really sweet. Thank you. Yes, that is a good idea. T. Klein said I need to go talk to the old timers who would have gardened there possibly at your church. Now, because we're in Tulsa, everybody that we know is pretty much tiny yards or apartments in Tulsa. Where we've seen
Our area is absolutely beautiful with tiny homes and tiny yards.
here,
Here.
where we are.
Yes.
Yes, it's absolutely a beautiful area with tiny houses and tiny yards. And have I met anybody that does a huge amount of gardening? Who have I met here that does a lot? They have a big community garden here, but again, one car family, and it's across the river and through the woods to grandmother's house.
Yeah.
That's how far away it is.
All your fans from this area
Um,
seem to be gardening and doing things in backyards and raising chickens and other contraband.
Uh-oh, Aardvark is here. He's gonna have something to say. Okay, Aardvark said Oklahoma not only has snakes, but rattlesnakes. Yes, we have rattlesnakes in Idaho. What?
I read that comment like 10 minutes ago. You need to push the blue
Really?
button. Yes. So.
I don't, but I don't want to.
And then, was it Mama Grows, I
okay.
think, was asking how much rain is over here? Yes, Aardvark is right. We get about 30 to 36, up to 42 inches, I think.
Yes, they do have armadillos here. Did you already answer that one too? They do have armadillos. Not to be confused with aardvarks, but they're, armadillos are maybe creepier. Punky Rooster said, generally, if you keep poultry, you have grain which attract rodents, which carry ticks and assist them in spreading, carrying disease. Yes, all of those things.
However, we found that chickens will eat
Oh my gosh, I
mice,
am
too.
way ahead, or way far away.
Yes, see that blue button right in the
Oh,
center?
Mama Grow said, how many inches of rain do you get? So back
There we
home.
go. 10 minutes ago.
Back home,
Go
we
ahead.
don't get it. The last few years have been really strange. Like the last 6 years, we've had a lot of rain in the spring, and then we've had rain into the summer, a lot. So we're very green. So we've had an unusual amount of rain. Usually, the only water we really get is from the mountains. We get we get rain. No, we get snowpack that then melts and goes into the river systems, which then we irrigate with through the ditch and the canal. So we generally don't get a lot of rain, and we even don't get a lot of snow. We just get a lot of cold there. But the last 6 years we've had a lot of rain. Not a lot compared to here, maybe, but a lot.
A lot, like 14 inches annually.
Well, we had rain all spring, and then we had rain through till July. And it was raining every week, sometimes every day with lots of rain. So
Which is
it's
way out
inconsistent.
of
Yeah, it's very
sync there.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
Northern Roots Group said check into local 4-H groups. That's a good idea.
Local Facebook garden groups.
Okay, so I'm missing everything. Okay,
Yes.
Aardvark said we get 30 to 36 inches of rain a year. Did you read that?
Yes.
You already read that?
Back to 10 minutes ago. you
Okay,
were-
wait, no. Kathleen said what flowers do you want to put in? I gotta tell her.
Fine, tell her about
Okay.
flowers and then hit the blue button.
So, I don't know because
That was a good answer. That was very.
I don't know because there's so many flowers that won't grow in Idaho. Ranunculus is one I've always wanted to try. I would love to put in rose bushes. I like to grow sunflowers because then I can feed them to the animals. But mostly, I'm just kind of curious to see what I could grow here. But I mean, I've never really planted flowers. I've always not planted flowers because a lot of them just really won't survive, or they're annuals. And if you can't eat it and it's an annual, I have no interest in planting it because I just don't want to put the effort into something that we're not going to be eating later. Oh, that's not fun. Tina said she got bit and got anaplasmosis. That just doesn't sound like fun. Okay, Glenn said, Julie, April 12th is the last possible freeze in this area. That's awesome because we get our last frost date last year
You know,
was June 28th. was our last frost date. And so we had planted our gardens in May and then protected them and then replanted them in June and had stopped protecting them, and then everything froze the 28th of June. Oh, yes. I just didn't want to use your name if you didn't want me to use your name,
Back to
Lisa.
10 minutes ago.
Let's see. Thanks for coming on, Stony Creek.
He's
Okay.
long gone, by the way. He's
Oh,
down
I'm
the road
sorry.
like 15 miles.
I'm
He's
so
driven into
sorry.
Tulsa.
I'm missing everything.
Blue button.
I don't want
I'm
to hit
telling
the
you, I
blue
love
button.
you. We've got to catch up
Oh,
on the modern
come
conversation.
on. Okay, aardvarks don't associate with those rascally armadillos. We see a lot of armadillos on the road, and I understand the aardvarks are in like Australia, right? Where do aardvarks
No
live?
idea. Well, it's just over the hill.
No, not that one. All right. Okay.
Hello from Minnesota, says Pal Family
Oh, I
Chaos.
love hollyhocks. Yes, Mandy, I love. Okay, those are one of those that are like the self-seeders and everything, and I love hollyhocks.
Oof. Northern Roots Farm. Where are they? Do you remember? -10 here to and dropping. Forecasted to be -35 tomorrow.
I
I
thought
don't-
Northern Roots was overseas.
Might be.
That was what
might
I
be
thought.
Celsius, but -35 is really close to -35 either way.
No, you asked me where
C
they
or
were.
F. Yeah.
Because I remember
where
I've
they
seen
were.
their channel. It's been a while since
But
I've seen anything.
I'm saying if they were outside of this country, they'd most likely be on Celsius.
Can't read that one.
Either way is like cold.
Hey Penelope, how are you? Tammy said no killer snakes or insects here in Minnesota, just very cold weather. Right? Well, and that's the thing about Idaho too, is you don't get the killer critters because the winters kill them just like they kill us. You know, it's just
It's too much killing.
too much killing. Okay, my voice is getting sore, and I'm sure you guys are tired of seeing me crick my neck to look up at this. Oh, yeah, Vermont. That is another country, isn't it? I hear that you can get down to 70 below zero. There is a blog that I love to watch up there by you guys, and it's called Sugar Mountain Farm. And it's about people who are raising heritage hogs in Vermont, and they're doing it in a natural way with deep bed systems and having sows that are farrowing in like February, and all the babies are still surviving because they let them do their own thing in this deep hay system. It just sounds amazing. Have you guys heard of them, the Sugar Mountain Farm? Hey, Flying Fias Farms, how are you? You are back.
907 says coldest
All
I
right.
had this year was -30 Fahrenheit. And that was in Alaska, so we've had 19
Here?
above.
Yeah, 19 above.
And that's okay.
Oh.
It's plenty cold.
The adventurous aardvark bought a chicken coop. Well, that was adventurous.
And aardvarkish.
I don't know. I don't know of any other aardvarks that
Would
want
buy a chicken
chickens
coop.
around. But are you just getting the coop to store it in your shed, or are you getting the chicken coop to put chickens in? That's the real question.
That's true. Just buy crickets.
Crickets.
Well, maybe the chat's late.
All right. Okay, I really do have to go to bed because I am getting a little punch drunk, not from what I'm drinking, but just from fatigue.
Oh, here he goes.
Oh, I like
Nice
silky
silkies.
chickens.
Oh, fun.
They're kind of funny looking.
Convince somebody to do it. That was good.
Hey, Gilliam Acres, how are
Hello.
you? All right, we're gonna take off. Oh, fun. They had them without the crate. Oh, there's so many interesting things everybody's doing. It's so hard to close it.
We just sit there and look pretty and let the chat go on.
Oh, and North
We're
Roots.
reading anyway.
Yes, so they said that the -70 was with wind chill. It was a wind chill of -70. Oh, I need
that
to
makes
call
it
these.
so much better. The
No,
meat
it
locker
doesn't make
was
it any
slightly
better.
less
That's just
meat
miserable.
locker-ish.
We got down to -45 when I was a kid, and we had calves that froze to the ground that night. We lost 3 calves, and we saved the rest. Yeah, my battery's about to die. Okay, I have to go. Wish you could bring your family and teach me. Oh, we wish we could ship to Canada. Okay, I love you guys. I gotta go before my phone dies.
Go, go.